this works. Okay, so today we're going to be making something that's actually kind of an experiment. I've not actually tried this before or made things in this combination before. So we have some pork chops right here that I had frozen overnight, and I basically just let it thaw for a few hours. But they're actually still a little bit frozen, so I'm not gonna do anything with them just yet. So the typical recipe with these is to combine these pork chops with broccoli. Um, and broccoli is usually steamed along with this, but I don't have a steamer basket, so I actually can't. I'm not going to steam it. But what I am going to do is I'm going to roast it. Not roast it, but like put it in the oven and bake it kind of. But I'm also going to make roasted peppers also, which is the part that I haven't done before. So I figured, well, let's just go ahead and start doing it. The thing is, well, I wasn't that smart, and this is my only cutting board, which currently has the meat on it, and I don't have any other place to put it. So we're just gonna have to do things the best we can to work with these peppers. So what I'm gonna do is hopefully not screw things up. And so I'm just gonna use a butter knife for this. All that we really need to do here is to cut these in half, because what we're gonna do is we're gonna lay them like with the skin showing on the facing up against the heating element, because we're gonna broil these. So you only really need to cut these in half. Okay, that's not working well. So yeah, so don't actually do this. The safe option is to get a second cutting board. And all of this white stuff, this is not a racist joke, but all this white stuff inside the pepper, you want to get rid of that, especially you can. Although it's not extremely important, but it'll just make things a lot easier down the road. And let's see if I can just take them out. It smells amazing when you open this, by the way. Okay, so I'm gonna. So basically, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna lift this, go in with my hands and try to pull this out if possible, but and just throw it in the trash. We actually don't need any of those seeds. It just makes the pepper hotter, but we only want pepper flavor for this. And actually, you should also note that there may be some gross bits on the pepper itself, so you may want to get rid of that if you can. No biggie, just yank it right off. Same with this one. Just yank it off. Again, don't actually do this. It's just because I don't have a different cutting board. And I'm cutting it most of the way through, not all the way through, so I don't accidentally damage the counter. Yeah, so just try to get these out as best you can. Oh, and make sure, because I didn't do it on the first one, I need to. Make sure to take the sticker off, because it might not play well nicely in the oven. I neglected to do that on the first one. Alright. And one thing that you should get, that I don't have, and that you should get, is a garlic crusher. Because we're going to be cutting a whole lot of garlic for these. And garlic is not fun to cut up yourself. So just make sure to get some kind of garlic crusher or press or something. Okay. All right, so half number 5. You actually don't need to take the white parts out. You should take as many of the seeds out as you can, but you don't actually have to take all of the white part out, because it's kind of annoying to get all of it out. And it's just kind of bitter, but it's only a small percentage compared to the rest of the fruit. Okay, so I got all of my peppers lined up right here. What I'm gonna do is, do I have tin foil? That would be really nice to know. It's not totally necessary, but if you have aluminum foil of some kind, get it. Oh, yes, I do. Okay. So, make sure to get some foil, and I'm actually going to move the knife so in case it doesn't fall. A falling knife has no handle, as they used to say. So, cover this whole thing up as best you can. It doesn't have to be completely covered, but as long as you cover most of it, it's fine. The only reason to do this is so that we don't have to wash this afterward, and I like that. Okay, so I need another length work. Yeah, the only purpose of doing this is so that we don't have to clean it afterward, which is not a bad thing at all. All right. So now what do we do? So here's how I do it. You can do it however you like, but this is how I do it. I just lay them. So these are eventually going to go cut side down. So with the skin showing. So, oh, okay. So there's some parts I neglected to get. I need to get those. Yeah, the gross bits, definitely get those. And any of the stickers, definitely get those. Because you don't want that smoking up your kitchen, if at all possible. And dump out the seeds if you can. It's not really a big deal if you don't get those. Okay. Yeah, so there's a sticker on this one. So that's only 2 stickers, that's weird. I'm actually gonna check again, just to be sure. Yeah, because it would be annoying if I told everyone not to take the sticker off and not actually take the sticker off. Okay. Yeah, there's only 2 stickers, so well. Okay, now what you do, take your olive oil and smear a little bit. Oh, God. Don't do that. Okay, so, but one of the great things about cooking is if you screw up, there's very likely a way that you can fix it. If you pour too much, just pour the rest into all the other pieces. No biggie. So just pour using your red pepper pour and spread all over these, even the inside, but especially the outside, because we want this thing to turn black. And you may think, well, that's not a good thing. I don't want this to turn black. We're not gonna have the skin on here. We're gonna take the skin off, or at least the parts of the skin that are burned, because we want a smoky flavor, roasted flavor, I meant. Well, I don't have a gas flame, which would be ideal for this type of thing, but if you don't have a gas flame, use your broiler if you can absolutely help it. So I'm basically giving all of these a nice massage on the outside. Just give them a nice little massage. And it's okay if some of the olive oil spills out, that's fine. Olive oil tastes good, use any kind of oil that you want. As long as it has a relatively high smoke point, that's fine. I'm not sure. I think olive oil has a relatively high smoke point, but anyway, make sure that you definitely get the skins on the outside. Absolutely get that. Okay, so there's a little blackened bit right there. Don't want that. Now, turn them upside down because you want this part up. You don't want to burn the inside, you want to burn the skin. So, because the skin is... I'm not sure why, but I think it's it can withstand the element a lot better. Now, I have not used my broiler, so this is purely an experiment. It might not work, and that's the great thing about home cooking. If things don't work, no problem. You don't lose your job or something. Unless your job is home cooking. Well, not sure if that's the case, but. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play with my oven settings. Let's see, we want broil and we want high. Okay. So in these go. Okay, so where's the broiler? So it's on the top. You kind of want to have the rack is not all the way up. So this would be all the way up, and that's not that bad. But I'm gonna put it on the second position, so in case I happen to forget, it's no big deal. So in they go, and I can already feel that it's heating up. So let's get to our pork chops. Pork chops, yay, everyone likes pork chops. Or hopefully you do. Sorry, vegans or vegetarians. Pork chops are good. So they are a little frozen, but that's okay because this is home cooking. We don't have to have perfection here. I'm just looking for the salt because I need more salt. All right, got more salt. So you want to season these with salt and pepper. Both sides. Kosher I'm using. That's pretty much the only real salt that's worth a damn for most home cooking. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start my pans, because for multiple reasons I'm gonna actually cook several of these at once to just make my life easier, but you can definitely do one of these at a time. So I'm just gonna pour a little olive oil in each one. Turn the heat on. So I'm actually gonna turn it on relatively low on both of them. And the reason is you don't actually want the chops to burn. And you definitely don't want the fond to burn, which is the stuff that is left on the bottom of the pan when you're done actually cooking it. Because we're gonna actually turn this into a sauce that's actually gonna be really good. So one thing I would recommend if you're making this is to get some white wine or fruit juice or something to make it the sauce kind of fruity. I have neither one of those, so I'm just gonna use water, but yeah. Flip these over. And one thing that you should do, which I'm going to do in a little bit, is to dry these as much as you possibly can, because you want to form a nice crust on the outside, and if it's wet, you're not going to have a good time. So, salt. So let's see, how am I going to do this? I'm going to move this here. And I'm going to use these guys to flip the chops around. Okay, I'm going to move ooh, it's heavy. So I got the chops over here. And I'm gonna dry them just with paper towels is fine. Because these things are actually quite wet because they were in the fridge, in the freezer for so long. Oh, I've got to pepper the other side. So flip. Flippy, flippy, flip, 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 flip. All right. So I've actually gone back and forth on whether you should actually pepper these um, before you cook with them. I don't really have an opinion either way which one is better. Definitely salt them before, but I'm not sure whether peppering actually before or after really matters. Alright, so pepper. And I'll wash the board in a bit once I put these in. Alright, so how hot are these? Oh, not quite. So I'm going to turn the heat up a bit. And also, I should check the state of the peppers. So, not really anything yet. So I'll check that in like 5 minutes or so. I'll get a water. I'm thirsty. Make sure to have some garlic also, because we're going to be putting that with the peppers and the broccoli, because you know it tastes good. And what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to, once we're done with the peppers. Once we're done with the peppers, we're going to take the skins off, put them in here, and then marinate them with garlic. And that's one of the best sentences I've ever said. All right. So, how hot are we? I might need, because of the this type of pan, you might need even more oil in it. You don't need as much as this one because it doesn't stick, non-stick. All right. So, one way you can test whether it's ready or not is just to dip its toes in. So you can kind of hear that it's kind of sizzling. No, you're good. So I'm actually going to turn the heat to like medium at most, even a little bit less, because these particular chops have the bone in them, and so it's going to actually take a lot more heat to get these hot, to cook them all the way through. What I do is I try to put the bone toward the middle of the pan, because you know it cooks. The heat in the center is more than the heat on the outside. And so this bit on the outside, you don't need to heat as much, but the part near the bone, you need to heat more. Let's test this other one. So the bone in this one, it happens to be like right in the center, so I'm just gonna put it toward the center. And turn this one down to like medium. So Because this pan's actually kind of smaller and that piece is kind of a big boy, I'm just gonna do 3 here. Oh, I have 7. Maybe I'll put a small one over here. Yeah, be careful not to burn yourself on these. How are we doing on those peppers? Okay, so I don't know if you can see, but let me adjust the camera. So if you actually look, you can almost see there's a little bit of blackened area on that closest pepper right in the center. So we're getting a little bit closer, not quite there yet. Let's see. Alright, so let's see. So my technique is I flip them continuously. Well, okay, not continuously, but a lot, because I don't want any burn flavor anywhere. So I like to flip them quite a bit just in case. Oh, and one thing, you see this juice, this red juice is coming out right here? So the reason that happens is, well, it's pushing water out of the center of the chop, and that's an indicator that it hasn't actually cooked all the way through. Once it's cooked all the way through, this actually turns clear. So because it's still red, it's obviously not done. It's definitely not done at this point. But again, I'm gonna try to flip this continuously, so that it cooks evenly as much as possible and there are no burn spots. You can hear the bone right here. Pretty funny. Bony boy. Oh, actually, one thing I forgot that you should have to this is onion. So I'm actually going to cut up an onion while these are cooking, and I really do need a cutting board for that. So I'm actually going to transfer all of the remaining chops to a plate, clean the thing for hygiene purposes. The cutting board for hygiene, and then cut the onion up. Shallots are good with this too, but it's just, I'm making quite a bit here, so I'm going to make a bunch of sauce. So you might as well just use a whole onion. If you did like 2 chops or something, you would only be able to use like 1 onion, half of an onion. So, and for hygiene, even though I clean one side, I'm going to use the other side. So let's come over here. So cut the ends off. Notice how I'm holding this. So I'm not holding it like this. I'm not holding it like this. I'm holding it like this because I'm cutting only a little bit off right here. Remember, round things are where people get their injuries from cutting. Okay? They end up in stitches and not the laughing kind. So be careful when you're cutting round things. And by cutting the ends off like this, it creates flat surfaces for where you can actually cut things, which is a very good thing indeed. So don't cut straight through like this because it's still round right here. Cut on the flat surface with your hand above that you can actually push through because this is a big boy onion. The skin is definitely gross and I have no time for it, but I take the outermost layer along with it because it's kind of leathery. So I just take it all in one chunk if possible. Just discard it. Okay, I should definitely check those peppers just in case. All right, how are the peppers doing? All right, so they're starting to get some black color. I'm going to let that go for like 2 more minutes as I chop the onion. So how do you chop an onion? You basically, actually there are several ways you can do it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it inward, flat like this. And then cut this way across those cuts that I just did. And when you get to the end, I would advise that you actually put your hand over the knife so that you don't, cut yourself, because that's not a good thing. And then cut the 3rd dimension. So it's cutting in each of the 3 dimensions here. Okay, I'll cut this piece with this half, and then I'll take the peppers out, or at least just check on them, You don't need knife skills to be sufficiently good in the home kitchen. It's just not needed. Unless you happen to be cooking or cutting 2,000 onions a day, in which case, yeah, it might actually be worth it. But here it's just not worth it. And for this middle section, I just cut up into several pieces. It doesn't actually matter at the very end. Actually, it doesn't even matter anytime, but anyway. Okay, so let's actually check these peppers. Maybe a few more minutes. So let's just cut this other onion up. I put my thumb on this, not necessarily for safety, even though it is for safety. It's just to push it through because some of these onion layers are really, really hard to cut through, and you don't accidentally want to have it veer off to a different direction, the knife, I mean. And there's absolutely no reason to go fast with this because I'm only cutting 1 onion. You don't need to go fast. In fact, it's better to go deliberately slow. Make sure you line up the cut first and then push. See how I'll put the hand on top? Definitely do that. There are very rare cases where you should actually do chops like this. It's very rare where you actually need it. I do know of an example, but it's very rare otherwise. So if there are any big pieces, just cut them up a little bit. All right, onions done. And no tears are shed. So let's see how these are going. I'm actually gonna take them out. They can actually go longer, but so off. Okay. And where are my gloves? Ooh, I should have been turning these. That was not smart of me. Don't be like me. Don't do 30,000 things at once. See, if I waited a lot longer, oops, you can't see. If I waited a lot longer, then those might actually burn, but I was lucky and I caught it. There are many forgivable sins when you're cooking at home. Burn flavor is not one of them. All right, so now I'm good to take these out. Ooh, that looks good. Pretty nice, huh? You say, well, oh, it's burned. That's not a good thing. We're gonna take that off. Cool, huh? So I'm just gonna put this on the counter just for it to cool down, calm down a bit. Make sure to have some butter too for the pan sauce. Let's see what I got. A lot of the time you can actually just use whatever you have in the refrigerator. You don't have to you don't have to follow a recipe exactly. A lot of the time the things in your kitchen are already sufficient. I'm actually going to turn the heat up a little bit because I'm not really doing anything else now. Move you a little closer. See how this is not actually brown yet, so I'm going to rotate it. Make sure that this part gets some attention, obviously. Not sure what all that black stuff is on that one, on the right. Smells good already. All right. So let's see how these, I don't have a temperature probe, which is something you probably should get yourself, but I just don't happen to have one. Because if you are cooking chops at a low temperature like this, once it looks done on the outside, it probably is done. So don't worry too much about it then. I'm gonna turn this one up a bit. It might actually be worth it to press these in, because the bottoms might not be flat, you know? You want to make good contact, especially with a pan like this one that has such high sides. So if I actually tug at the meat a little bit, you can, it's hard to see in the camera, but if you, here, let me get closer for you. I should get better light from here. So if I pull the meat a little bit, you can actually see a little bit of red in there. That's how you know it's not actually done. That's one way you can check. Okay, so the outer edge on this one is getting a little brown, so I'm gonna put the bone side toward the middle so it can cook better. While that's happening, I'll show you what's happening over here. So with peppers, the great thing about roasting them is that you can actually just shake off the, or at least try to shake off the outer burnt skin. And if you can't take it off, that's totally fine. If you can't take it all off, I mean, it's totally okay. Just take whatever you can off without taking too much of the flesh away. Roasted peppers are just so good. If you're not making them, you are missing out. It smells amazing. And I haven't even added garlic to this. Just by itself, it smells amazing. Yeah, it's kind of hard to get some of the smaller burnt pieces. Just get what you can. And they're safe, almost safe enough to touch. Still a little hot. Let me try again on this one. Doesn't help that my hands are kind of slippery. Okay, yeah, that was real good. All right, so maybe we can try this one. Oh yeah, there we go. If you're just watching this, the skins actually are not connected to the, or they lift off from the actual body of the flesh of the pepper, so it's actually kind of easy to lift them off that way. All right, so let's move back over to the central area. Okay, that's good. So I'm gonna actually turn them down a little bit because the crust is actually looking really nice on this one already. I'm actually gonna, no, that's fine. Put the burnt, not burnt, but like the less done side toward the center. Oh, it's kind of funny how those line up like that. That was kind of funny. Again, bone side toward the center. Unless it's more done, in which case you do the opposite. Alright, so I'm going to cut up some garlic. Again, get a garlic crusher. Don't do what I do. Get a garlic crusher. It'll save your life. Not literally, but it'll make things a heck of a lot easier. And with roasted peppers, you want a ton of garlic in this. So do not skimp on the garlic here, because it's the second star of the thing. With garlic, you just want to cut the ends off one side, ends off the other. I would use garlic powder in this, if possible, but it's just that it's not going to cook for a long time, so it's not going to break down. So you actually need real garlic for this, which is annoying, to say the least. Okay, so this one didn't actually cut all the way through. Oh, you're not able to see me. Peeling and chopping garlic is one of my least favorite things to do ever. Okay, so that's getting a nice color. That one's also getting a nice color. But I'm going to flip this guy around. Actually, I'm going to have it the other way around. Wish I had slightly bigger pans than this, but it's not a big deal. Being in the kitchen is kind of like being MacGyver. You engineer up little tiny solutions that are just totally ad hoc. Yeah, I really hate cutting garlic up. I'm too lazy to get a garlic crusher. Talk about my principles, right? Yeah, that's another way. Once you cut off the ends, to take the actual garlic clove out of the papery husk, the shell, is to take the side of the knife and just lay your palm on it and push, or just completely bash it like this. And that should work, or should work. Sometimes it just doesn't. It's annoying, but again, you just work with the problems that you get one at a time. Sometimes you can't fix everything. That's totally fine. It's home cooking. It's not a restaurant. So this one's being really annoying, and so I'm just going to cut it in half to get it to release a lot easier. And you want to discard every single piece of paper associated with the garlic if possible. It is absolutely horrifically annoying to deal with when you're cutting up the garlic yourself. Okay, so sometimes you get a garlic clove that has that in it. You definitely want to get rid of it, if at all possible. Or, so what I do is I just cut it off. So cut really easy. force it down. Just cut it real easy. Nothing, most cooking is not a race. Just work slowly. And if you can, plan ahead, but sometimes I can't. So, again, you just deal with the things as you go. This is why one should get 2 cutting boards, not just deal with one. So you don't have to put everything on the other plate that you also have to clean later. But this can also be annoying. Got a lot of annoying clothes here. I wouldn't go through all this trouble if it weren't worth it. So, alright, so let's actually test these. That's got good color. Salt has got good color. That made quite a bit of noise. Let's orient these this way. There's no secret to this, just start cutting through. I always have my hand on top of the knife because it's way safer. And there's no method to this, it's just cutting them up into little tiny pieces. It doesn't matter that these be really fine because we're not really going to eat them. It's just to marinate with the garlic. Gather them up. A lot of them will actually stick to the knife, which is why this is so annoying to do, but just get them off if you possibly can. So I think that's reasonable size. So now I'm going to get a bowl, not to smoke up, but to put all of the garlic in. And if you get some of the paper with it, which I think I did here, that's totally fine. Nothing under the world. So you can do this however you like. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the peppers in a hole like this, and then cut them up later. You can cut it up now and mix it in. Either way is totally fine. And there's no secret to this either. Just smoosh it all around. Technical term, smoosh. smells so good. All right. Set that off, let it sit. We're not gonna touch that for a while anyway. Wash your hands just in case. So this is looking reasonably done. I'm actually gonna cut it just to see, or at least cut into it and see, where might I go? Just to see how done it actually is, because I don't have the temperature probe. Where's the knife? Oh, it's over here. Note to self, don't hold meat that just came off the stove in your bare hands. That's not a good idea. Okay, so that's looking good. You only want to see a little bit of pink. So I'm gonna turn these to low. I'm actually not sure if that's the best idea, but I'm just gonna turn them to low and put the chops just resting on the board. It actually might be better to put them on a plate, but I'm not going to do that. I don't want to dirty another plate. Okay, that's looking nice. How's this looking? I'm just going to let this one coast a little bit more. Clean up the kitchen. This is already ready. Smells absolutely amazing in here already. So I'm actually going to make two sauces. The first sauce comes from this batch, and then the other sauce comes from the other batch, from the other three chops we're going to be making. Yes, I'm just letting this one coast a little bit. It's one of the problems with using a pan like that. You can get little mini explosions like that, so don't do that. So I'm going to put them at reasonably low temperature, and what am I going to do? I'm going to put half of the onions into each, or at least just a big chunk of onions, and get your wooden spoon out. This one needs more. Okay, so I'm going to do half in each. And then we'll cut up the other onion that I have. So make sure to have 2 onions when you make this. And make sure to scrape all of that good, wonderful stuff off the bottom called fond. I'm not sure, I'm fond of it, but I'm not sure why it's called that. But anyway. And don't worry about adding water or anything. Onions have plenty of water in them. So don't worry about that. Yeah, if you get a non-stick pan like this, it's way easier to make this. Make it this way. There's a lot of stuck bits on the bottom right here, and so you have to kind of force your way to getting them. Which is a little annoying, but. Okay, so I'm going to turn the heat up on both of them. Just a hair, not that much, like medium-lowish. And I'm going to pour some water in. And note to self, I need to get the water first. This is where you would use like white wine or something, cooking wine. I'm just going to use water because that's all I got. So just pour a little bit in. And turn the heat up a bit on both of these. So this is actually like at medium-ish. probably what you should do, and I guess I just learned this, you should cut the onion up into finer pieces if you can, slightly finer than this. This is a little big pieces, but that's fine. It's not a big deal. All right, so while this is going, what we should focus on is the broccoli. Yeah, there's another thing in this. I mean, you can leave any or all of these out if you wanted to, but you're not gonna, are you? So, got some broccoli here. Make sure to wash it first. I washed everything else, but I didn't wash this, so I'm gonna wash it. Make sure to wash it. All right, got a piece of broccoli right here. This is gross stuff. Looks gross, it is gross. Take it off. And what the best thing to do is, or at least I find the easiest way, is to lay it upside down and cut down. Don't turn it up and cut this way because you don't know what's going to happen with the knife. With this way, you know exactly what's going to happen because you're just cutting straight down. The hardest part to cut is the first thing you're cutting anyway. So just cut it up however you can. And once it gets pretty woody like this, I just toss the rest. Cut these up into relatively small pieces. They will shrink a little bit, but not very much. So make sure to cut them to about the size you want them, which for me is not very big. So you're going to want to also get your oven preheating, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to bake it at 400. And make sure to stir this stuff around so that it doesn't actually burn. And once it gets to a syrup-like consistency, then turn it off, but it's not at a syrup yet, so once we get to a relatively syrupy consistency, then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some butter in because it tastes good. So I think I need to cut this up a little bit more. Hand on top, always, or whenever you can. And never, ever, ever, ever press hard unless you absolutely have to. And there's no other choice. That very rarely happens. So this is a pretty good piece, so I'm just gonna cut it in. All right, so I'm gonna put this on a tray. Well, I think we already have a tray. We already used it. So there's no point in cleaning this off because it's got really good roasted garlic pepper flavor right on it. There's no point in wasting it. And it's got some olive oil in it, which is what we want anyway. No point in wasting it. So actually it needs a little bit more oil, so I'm gonna add a little bit more oil to this boy. And then just smoosh it all around. Again, a technical term. Just smoosh it all around so that every piece gets a little bit of oil on it. And all you need to do to add to this is some salt and pepper. And once the oven gets to 400, we'll just put it in, and then that's all we have to do for this. You can add as much garlic or as little garlic as you like. We will be adding cheese to it later. I don't want to add it now because it's gonna burn in the oven. think that's looking pretty good. It, it's a pretty big baking tray, so it looks kind of empty, but what do I care? Anyway, so I'm gonna turn these off, completely off, because they're at a syrupy consistency. How do I notice this is syrupy consistency? Notice that there's almost no water left. Well, actually there's more in this one, but you wanna turn these completely off and then wait for the bubbling to actually stop before you add butter to make it like kind of rich and glossy. This one's almost syrupy, so you can actually see when I leave a trail, it's actually kind of slow to. Well, actually, it's getting slower to fill in the gap. But anyway. Yeah, you definitely want to wait until this has stopped bubbling before you add butter. I'm actually going to add some water to this one because it seems kind of dry. And the water will cool it down too. Notice I still have it on the same burner, even though the burner's off, because it's still hot. I want to keep it hot though. Thanks, Bonnie D9999, my favorite stalker. All right, that's pretty reasonable for both of them. So all you need to do here is just take some butter and get a butter knife. And then just do a few slices of butter in each one. And remember, it's come off the boil, or it's not bubbling at least. So let's do 2 slices in each. Honestly, it doesn't really matter as long as you put some amount of butter in. Salted or unsalted, doesn't matter for this. Rich and glossy. Oh, I didn't push start on the freaking oven. I learned my lesson. I thought it would just automatically go. I'm a dummy. All right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put these into a bowl. This is mixed around a bit. Okay, so I do have a Tupperware at least. So I'm just gonna dump these out into a Tupperware and have make sure it's clean first. Alright. Oops. Knocked into you there. Make sure to get the wooden spoon. Actually, no, this Tupperware can't have hot things in it. What can I use? I'll just use this. Can that hold it all? I guess so. If not, I'll use 2 bowls if it doesn't all fit. Sauce smells good too. It's not important that you get it all out because you can just wipe it down with the paper towel. All right, so numero dos. Oh yeah, it'll hold both. Actually, what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna make a second sauce. All I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cook the other chops. Just clean these out with a paper towel. Don't want any little bits in there because it'll burn. See all that stuff? That was in the bottom. I'll just clean the other one with it also. There. So then turn these up to like medium-ish, just like before. Medium-ish. I'm actually gonna chuck in the broccoli now. So that, because broccoli in the oven takes a while, and I want to have it actually done by the time we're done. Some bits of the roasted pepper stuck. So we got that in. Need to add some oil to these. Oil these bad boys up. And we're not going to worry about the fond on these, obviously, because I'm not making another sauce. I have enough sauce for all the chops anyway that I want to eat. Oh, I forgot more oil in this pan because it's taller and narrower. All right. So these still will take a little bit to heat up. Yeah, so I'm dipping it in. I don't hear a sizzle. It's not hot enough. So that means I should turn it up a little bit. Just a little. Just a little bit. All right, so when the oil actually moves quite a lot better or easier now, you know it's getting hot, so in it goes. Not quite hot. Thought it'd be hotter than that. This is not hot enough. How's my one viewer doing out there? Alright, so I'm starting to see the oil fizzle a little bit. Yeah, so now it's ready. Definitely ready. And now since I only have 3 chops, I have more room in the second one. And time to clean the plate. Because I'm not making another sauce, I'm putting the butter away. Because we definitely don't need more butter in our lives. I can almost guarantee that the broccoli won't be done by the time we are finished with the chops. So I'm not even gonna check them. Might as well though, just in case. Nope, not even close. Actually, I have a lot of oil in this one, so I'm gonna move some over. Oops, that was not a smart idea. Don't do that. Don't do what I just did there. That was not smart. Don't do what I did. Again, the bone side is on the outside for some reason because I'm not smart. So actually the bone on this one's really tiny. The bone is only that big. Oh, okay, there's some bone here. Okay. I was wondering, why is the bone so small on that one? It's not. Oh, here's a really cool trick. So we have our, oh, here, I'll show you. So we have our meat right here, but you can, if you look carefully, you can actually see a little bit of moisture right there. Why not just put that right directly into our little sauce right here, which is exactly what I'm gonna do. All the juices that came out of the meat while it was resting, why not use it? Okay, so it finally reached 400 degrees. Just pour off all of this wonderful goodness. In fact, I even missed some over there because it came off of the cutting board, but whatever. Can't win them all. In fact, there's still some on the board, but you can always get it later. Go back here. I know it's not done, but I'm paranoid about this stuff. And I really don't like screwing it up. So that's stuck a little bit, so I'm gonna put more oil in that guy. Not a lot, because I don't want to have too much like I did before. Just enough to make it not stick. Alright. Make sure it's got good contact. I'm going to turn the right one down just a tad. Actually, the left one a little bit too. Not too much. So like almost exactly medium. This smells absolutely astoundingly good. All right. Oh, so I guess this one folded. That's okay, we can fix it. You see how the oil's bouncing like that? The bubbles are coming up. I'm gonna turn it down just a hair. Actually, I'm gonna turn this one down too. Making sure it has a good contact. Check the broccoli. And it's got a little bit of color, not that much. Let that go a bit longer. While these are going, what I'll do is I'll cut up the red peppers, might as well. Because I'm going to be putting the meat onto this anyway, so I'll just cut it now. The fungies. So there's no rhyme or reason to this. Just into long strips. You can cut it however you like. It's your life. Unless someone's making you do this, but that's a whole different story. Yeah, they're kind of annoying to cut when they are roasted like this, but again, just do it as best you can. Again, it doesn't really matter how you cut them. As long as they're not really big pieces. So if you see any big pieces, you know what you do. This is a thick boy, so I'll cut him. Alright, are there any big boys left? Yeah, there's one. And then I'll put this back into the bowl so that I have some more room. Absolute mess in here already. So let's turn this over. Oh, it's got like no color at all. That's weird. I think it would have more color than that. Oh, maybe because it's lower. Maybe that's it. Yeah, I think there's a little too much oil in this, so I'm gonna spoon some over. The left one up a bit. I know this view isn't that sexy, but the food definitely is when you bite into it. See how this is going. Alright, that's that reasonably good color. I'll flip it over one more time and then that one should be done. See how the broccoli's doing? It's getting some nice color. I'll actually turn off the oven and then just let the broccoli coast in there. So this one I'll say is done. I'll just let it sit here. I'll cut into it just to be sure, because I might actually be wrong. Okay, so that one actually looks good, so I'm gonna leave it there and transfer this other one over. I'm going to turn the spurs on the left one so it can get some nice, good heat. Not sure why it's not getting a color, but it's starting to get some good color. This one's actually quite low, so I'm going to turn it up a bit. May have added too much oil, but again, no issue. Most problems in cooking you can easily solve. Okay, so that's getting a nice color. Turn the left one down a bit so it doesn't overcook, over brown. Okay, maybe turn the left one down a little more. How's this one doing? I'll actually cut into it and see. Okay, so this one's getting a nice color. It's starting to get some nice brown. It's getting a nice color. It's starting to get some nice brown. Okay, so that's getting a nice color. Turn the left one down a little more. Okay, maybe turn the left one down a little more. How's this one doing? I'll actually cut into it and see. just to be sure. Okay, that's looking good. So I'm gonna turn the white one off completely. Take the pan off the heat. Oh, I should probably turn on the vent. I think this one's done too, so I'm going to turn it off and take it off the heat. All right, look what we did right there. Got some beautiful stuff right there. All we need to do now is cut it all up. This will be super fun. So use tongs because, I mean, these pieces might not be hot, but these pieces are hot. So make sure to use a knife, something to hold it with. Metal tongs are really, really good at this. And that's what I always use. It doesn't really matter. Just move along the bone and just tear it off. You can gnaw on a caveman on this portion right here, but I'm just going to move it over here so I have some more room. Okay, that's getting a little annoying, so let's turn that off. I don't need it anymore. So for this one, it looks like the bone's a little more complicated, so let's just cut right around it. Yeah, this one's actually quite complicated. Again, we're going to be cutting these into strips anyway, so it doesn't matter if you mangle it or whatever. It does not matter. Presentation in home cooking really shouldn't matter. Although people want their food to look good, it doesn't actually matter. So let's see. So cut this up into little smaller pieces so we can cut them up better. Got a lot of meat here, so this is really for if you want to cook a whole bunch of meals at once, or you're feeding a lot of people or something. This is definitely the way to go. And the broccoli's just been coasting in the oven, so we don't even need to look at it. The whole purpose of getting the bone off is so that we can actually cut them into strips really easily. And you don't have to be precise here. So I think that there's some bone here. Okay. So I've got some bone there. Okay. This is one of the problems of having a really small cutting board, so that you don't have enough room to have everything. But again, just do the best you can. And then this final one. See, look at that. Here, I'll get it closer for you. Looks pretty good, doesn't it? Because it is, and you know it. So, yeah, so this one's a little more complicated too. Again, all you have is a straight cutting tool, cut in straight lines. Oops, wrong piece. This goes here. We don't have any bone there, so ready to go. All right, so time to start cutting. Get your trash ready. And if you actually look here, you can actually see a big blubber hunk of fat right there. Normally that'd be good if it was crispy or melty, but it's blubbery. And if you like blubber, good for you, but I sure don't. So cut that crap off and throw it out. And then just slice her on up into, I don't know, like half-inch thick slices. Again, it doesn't really matter how thick you get it, as long as you cut it all up. And if you get some fat in there, no problem at all. Once you're done with one, move on to the next one. Oh, so I think I missed a bone there. So got some blubber. See how like it's pulling away right there? Yeah, you want to get that off. Ooh, it's kind of hot. And we got some down here too. Of course, I put the trash behind me because I want you to see what I'm doing. Yeah, these tongs aren't the absolute best. In fact, these pieces are kind of long. I'm actually going to cut them this way also, so that they're approximately the same size as the other ones. Eat it however you like. It's your life, not mine. Okay, so we got a lot of fat here. So make sure you cut it off and toss it. Plus we got a lot of meat here anyway. Even if you get some meat with it, it doesn't really matter. As with most things, it doesn't really matter, but some things do matter. I think this was, yeah, that's not good. All right, so let's see. So this is no fat I can see, so just slice her on up. This actually, if you had like a metal tray, this would actually be a really good time to get it out, because if you had like a buffet or something that you were feeding a lot of people doing this, you can actually put all this meat onto the metal tray and put the metal tray under 2 different burners and put them on their low setting. So that would actually be a really good idea, but I don't have that situation, so I am going to not do that. So let's see some blubber hunks. See, look at all that. It just, if it pulls right off like that with a bunch of sinew in between, it likely is going to be some fat. I can feel some meat in right here, so try not to throw that away, but the rest of this is definitely fat for sure. So make sure to throw it out. Definitely got a lot of meat here. All right. Let's try to not hurt ourselves doing this. Okay, so these pieces are cut a little more done, which is fine. Not every piece is exactly the same done. Yeah, so how I cut these is cut all the way down till you feel the board and push away, because some of these pieces might actually stick to the other one, and it's just really annoying when that happens. So just cut all the way down and scoot. Down, scoot. Down, scoot. Down, scoot. Move those away. You see how it like is really bendy like this? That's fat. Get it away. If there was a really nice application of that, I would love to know, but I do not know of such an application. Hi, barking dog. can see that there's fat right there. So the question is, where's the meat and where's the fat? Although I have so much here that it's almost not worth actually trying to find it. But so just try to inspect, see if you see any big hunks. Yeah, so there's a lot of sinew in there that's kind of gross. So just throw it out. Cut that up. All right. God, I got so much meat here. So then keep slicing. Finally, El Ultimo. This one's got fat, I can see. If there's like a fault line in there, then that's probably going to be fat. Although I do still feel meat in there, it's just there's so much fat and I don't have any patience for it. So I just cut it off. Up, cut up. That's probably the wrong way to cut it, but oh well. I'm the only one eating it. I don't care. Okay, so this one's got a fair bit of fat. I'm gonna throw it out. These other ones are fine, I think. Okay, that was a lot of work. So I'm gonna throw all of the. Actually, no, I'm not gonna throw the bones out yet. So now the only thing left is to get the broccoli out. Oh, wow, it's hot in there. Now, does that look good? Can you smell it? I'm sorry. Too bad you can't smell it yet. All right, so let's plate her on up. So, got our lovely little sauce here, pan sauce. So let's find a plate. I would heat a plate, but I was too busy and too lazy to do it. So, take a bunch of meat. I'm not worried about plating it here. Take some of the broccoli without burning yourself. Ow. Some of the roasted peppers. And some of our sauce. And what I usually do is I pour it right over the meat. Now, how does that look? I think we did a really good job here. It's actually really good for you. It's got pork, it's got broccoli, it's got peppers, it's got onions, only a little bit of butter. So this is actually really, really good. So the plate's not actually hot, so I'm actually gonna reheat it in the microwave, but that's it. And I'm gonna go enjoy this. So thank you for joining in. This video will eventually come on YouTube so you can watch it again. And as always, I'll see you next time. Thanks.